Royal Communications Incorporated. Good afternoon and welcome to King's News Broom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Monday, January 20th, 2025. I'm Newton Tukwa presenting. Service will following this afternoon. The funeral and burial of Liberian warlord Senator Prince Johnson took place at the weekend in his home county of Nimba, attended by schools of government officials, former Liberian President George Weah, President Joseph Newman Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, international partners, friends, and relatives. Associate Justice Yemi Gbese is set to hear a writ of prohibition filed by state prosecutors on seeking to overturn a ruling by Judge Cobalt Nutat of Criminal Court on Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak suspect Thomas Interish to seek medical attention. Senator Yahya Nimle has attributed the death of Senator Prince Johnson to unite the party, saying just as former presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah protected him against the setting of the War Crimes Court in Liberia, UP did not. Away from Liberia, at least 7 people have been killed in a clash with soldiers on duty at a mine in the central Ghanaian Ashanti region. These plus many more are packaged. But let's take a very short break. We'll be right back. At the juncture, thanks for rejoining. At the juncture, we'll cross over to St. Andrews with the news bulletin.
The funeral and burial of former Liberian warlord turned politician and Senate and pastor Prince Johnson took place at the weekend in his home county of Nimba, attended by scores of government officials, former President George Weah, President Joseph Yema Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, international partners, and friends and relatives. The funeral was characterized by political speeches of disagreement, protest, uneasiness, and bitter exchanges among the monarchs and politicians than the usual standard of tribute, except for former Liberian President George Weah tribute, calling for peace, reconciliation, and unity at the same time, consoling the bereaved family that Liberia needs in these troubling times. The rest of the tributes were political and reactionary. Senator Prince Johnson died on November 28 at the age of 72. He led the Independent National Patriotic Front of Liberia, one of the leading rebel factions that killed tens of thousands and displaced over 1 million people during the 1990 war. Former Liberian President and world icon George Weah has paid a solemn tribute at the funeral of Senator Prince Johnson in Nimba County with a call to Liberians, irrespective of their political ideology and ethnicity, to recommit to the ideals of peace, reconciliation, and unity. The former president said it cannot be overemphasized how desperate Liberia is currently in need of those 3 essential pillars upon which the country advances in progress and development. According to former President George Weah, Liberians should always keep in mind, as the country goes through these troubling times, the shared history with all its strengths and triumphs that bind the people together as they honor the legacy of the late Senator Prince Johnson. Senator Thomas Yahya Nimle has blamed the Unity Party government for the death of Senator Prince Johnson, saying he was betrayed by President Joseph Yema Boakai by not protecting him against going on trial with the setting up of the War Crimes Court in Liberia. Speaking at Senator Johnson's funeral in Nimba County on Saturday, Senator Nimle said, unlike former presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah, who did not see the compelling need for the War Crimes Court in Liberia during their reign, the rescue mission he sought rescue from to prevent the court from being set up in Liberia to have him tried, tempted, and tormented him with it. Senator Yahya Nimlin said Senator Prince Johnson cleverly bought time with the former president and the current Joseph Yuma Boakai by promising to make them president or win a second term if they protected him against the War Crimes Court, a promise he fulfilled for CDC and Unity Party under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but he was betrayed by the current Unity Party government headed by Joseph Yuma Boakai. According to Senator Thomas Yahya Nimlin, since Unity Party took power, the late Senator Prince Johnson was always troubled and traumatized until his death on November 28th. President Joseph Yuma Boakai has praised the history and legacy of the late Senator Prince Johnson at his funeral in Nimba County on Saturday. Senator Johnson's funeral was attended by scores of Liberian government officials, former President George Weah, international partners, friends, and families. President Boakai said the late senator was a man of many complexities, whose life was shaped by the intricacies of his history as a former warlord, senator, and preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ. President Boakai said the late Senator Johnson's role in Liberia's political evolution was nothing short of impactful, who will forever be remembered in the history of Liberia. On the War Crimes Court, President Boakai said Senator Prince Johnson was aware of everything the setting up of the court in Liberia, knew about the resolution, and he signed it. Associate Justice Yamin Gweze is set to hear a petition for a writ of prohibition on today, Monday, filed by state prosecutors seeking to overturn a ruling by Judge Kogbe Nuta of Criminal Court B on Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak suspect Thomas Entrich. Prosecutors are challenging Judge Nuta's decision to release Entrich into the custody of guarantors for medical treatment. They argue that the ruling jeopardizes the investigation and accountability in the Capitol Building fire incident. On January 13, Judge Kogbe Nuta ruled in favor of the petition for habeas corpus filed by Andre's lawyers, citing concerns about his health and alleged torture by national security agents while in custody. The judge also ordered Andre's legal team to provide 3 satisfactory guarantors before his release. But state prosecutors objected to the ruling, arguing that the responsibility for verifying Andres' health should remain with the court rather than external guarantors. They expressed distrust in any arrangement outside the court's direct oversight and formally noted their assumption to the decision. Meanwhile, Councillor Jonathan Massaquoi, the lawyer for suspect Thomas Enrich, in the Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak said the process is no longer a general criminal investigation into the allegation of arson, but is now focusing on a particular individual. He said Entrich has been taken into police custody, but the National Security Agency has taken seize of the matter and wantonly carrying out a process that lends, in his words, itself to eliciting incriminating statements from his client. Councillor Massaquoi said Thomas Enrich has been denied the right to consult with his lawyer. According to Councillor Jonathan Massaquoi, the state has not effectively warned him of his absolute constitutional right to remain silent. What is even discouraging, according to Councillor Massaquoi, Thomas has been denied the assistance of a lawyer of his choice at every stage of the investigation, a gross violation of his fundamental rights as made obligatory by the state and the Constitution. The resident judge of the 6th Judicial Circuit Civil Law Court of Moserado County, Judge Smith, has condemned the decision of Grand Cape Man County Senator Simeon Taylor's interference in court trial, describing it as criminal and violation of the Constitution. During a hearing into the late Williams Locust interstate case, Judge Smith said Senator Taylor's interference in court matters was not only wrong, but was obstructing judicial function. Judge Smith noted that while legislators, like judges, are granted some immunity from arrest or summons, the senator immunity does not extend to individuals involved in criminal activities. for his interference, such as obstructing judge's order. The ruling stemmed from an incident on December 14, 2024, when Senator Taylor obstructed a court eviction at the interstate of the late Williams Locust. Despite efforts by the court sheriff and the Liberia National Police officers to enforce the eviction, Senator Taylor arrived on the scene and put a stop to it. Judge Smith again ordered the court clerk to reinforce the rate of possession and formally notify the President pro tem of the Liberian Senate to tell Senator Taylor to cease from obstructing court function. The Ministry of Justice at the weekend unveiled 21 vehicles and a 30-seated bus for county attorneys as part of an initiative aimed at strengthening access to justice across Liberia. At the unveiling ceremony, the Minister of Justice also stated that the vehicles are intended to support the work of Liberia's county attorneys at enhancing access to justice, empower legal professionals, and ensure the efficient delivery of justice nationwide. Minister Tueb emphasized that the unveiling ceremony is the first time over 15 years that the country's attorneys have been provided with such essential tools to effectively carry out their duties. He explained that these vehicles are part of a broader initiative to improve the welfare of Liberia's legal professionals, ensuring they have the resources needed to serve the communities with dignity and efficiency, thus emphasizing the importance of engaging with local communities and ensuring the justice system is not only effective, but also perceived as just by all Liberians. In a related development, Minister Tuer disclosed that they have invited independent investigators to probe the fire outbreak at the Capitol building. He stated that an investigation is currently underway into the deliberate fire that occurred on December 18. The Justice Minister also confirmed that the Ministry of Justice, in collaboration with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and other national partners, are conducting a thorough investigation. Minister Oswald Tuer said that anyone found responsible for the criminal act will be held accountable in accordance with the law. He reiterated that the government is committed to upholding the rule of law, ensuring access to justice for all Liberians, and fostering a culture of accountability and transparency within the country's legal institutions. Workers of the National Elections Commission of Liberia have thanked President Joseph Yamam for suspending indefinitely the chairperson of the National Elections Commission, David Brown Lasana. She is suspended for what the president described as disruptive behavior to trust and stability, as well as taking unilateral decision, which led to a series of protests at the commission and created a toxic working environment. At a news conference at the weekend, the commission headquarters on 9th Street, they said through their spokesperson, David Brown Lasana, provided sufficient reasons for her removal as head of the commission, but the goodwill of President Joseph Boakai only led to her suspension. According to them, the indefinite suspension of David Brown Lasana has brought a great relief to the entire workforce of the National Elections Commission, especially the 25 employees she dismissed unilaterally. They also said Madam David Brown Lasana was greedy enough to have put herself on all committees of the National Elections Commission as head, taking control onto herself everything expenditure and procurement of the commission. The Workers' Union of the Liberia Broadcasting System has given its Director General Eugene Fagon 72 hours ultimatum to address the prevailing issues affecting members of the union or risk vote of no confidence. According to the union's president, Joseph Sayan, since the appointment of Director Fagon, the workers of state broadcaster have been marginalized and deprived their benefits and other incentives. He accused Eugene Fagon of using his relationship with President Joseph Yuma Boakai and Information Minister Jeremy Pia to suppress and intimidate them after from speaking out about the appalling conditions they are faced with at the entity. The Ministry of Education has announced the procurement of the procurement and distribution of 6,000 high-quality armchairs for secondary schools across the country. The initiative, according to the Ministry of Education, includes the provision of 120 desks, 120 chairs for teachers, ensuring more organized and conducive learning environment. Speaking at the weekend at a special ceremony marking the arrival of Education Minister Dr. Jasso Mala asserted that the furniture will be instrumental in improving students' academic performance by providing a more comfortable and effective learning space. The mother of a 21-year-old man who was reportedly killed by health practitioners at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital is demanding justice into the circumstances surrounding her son's death. The 21-year-old Benedictus Williams was pronounced dead by health workers at St. Joseph Catholic Hospital in Congo Town following a surgical operation. The hospital's authority, through its representative who visited the deceased mother, distanced the health facility from all allegations linking them to the boy's death. And away from Liberia, at least 7 people have been killed in a clash with soldiers on duty at a mine in central Ghanaian Ashanti region. Ghana Armed Forces said about 60 illegal miners armed with, among other things, pump actions, gun, had forced their way into the mine run by global giant Anglo-Go Ashanti and fired at the soldiers when they were intercepted. According to the BBC, it prompted the soldiers to retaliate in self-defense, leading to the deaths and injuries of several people. According to the BBC, a representative of the miners denied that they have been armed. Following news of the deaths, there were protests in Obuasi town where several buses were set on fire. Angry residents poured onto the company's grounds following the killings, burning at least 3 vehicles and other equipment belonging to Anglo-Go Ashanti. President John Mahama has ordered investigation into the matter, saying anyone found to have acted unlawfully will be brought to justice. A statement from the presidency indicated that 8 people had died.
Sam Andrews with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsburn. What if you just joining us every month you're listening to King's Newsburn, a 45 minutes presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this afternoon. The funeral and burial of Liberian warlord turned Senator Prince Johnson took place at the weekend in his home city of Nimba, attended by schools of government officials, former President George Weah, President Joseph Newman Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Cohn, international partners, friends, and relatives. Associate Justice Yemi Gbese is set to hear a writ of prohibition filed by state prosecutors on seeking to overturn a ruling by Judge Cowboy Nuttall of Criminal Court on Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak suspect Thomas Ilrich to seek medical attention. Senator Yaya Nimle has attributed the death of Senator Prince Johnson to United Party, saying just as former presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah protected him against the setting of war crimes court in Liberia, UP did not. And away from Liberia, at least 7 people have been killed in a clash with soldiers on duty at a mine in the central Ghanaian Ashanti region. Let's take a very short break. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the newsmaker. Welcome back. On this one, on former Liberian president and world icon George Weah has paid a solemn tribute at the funeral of Senator Prince Yomi Johnson in Nimba County, Wofford, to Liberians irrespective of their different political ideology and ethnicity to recommit to the ideals of peace, reconciliation, and unity. The former president said it cannot be overemphasized how desperate Liberia is currently in need of those three essential pillars upon which the country advances in progress and development.
And to the people of Liberia, let us remember that our shared history, with all its traumas and trials, bind us together as we honor the memory of Senator Prince Johnson. Let us recommit ourselves to the ideas of peace, reconciliation, and unity that our nation is so desperately needs. May his soul rest in perfect peace, and may God bless the Republic of Liberia. Farewell, farewell, great man, farewell. Uruguay.
Former Liberian President George Weah. Senator Yaya Nimle has blamed the Unity Party government for the death of Senator Prince Johnson, saying he was betrayed by President Joseph Newman Boakai by not protecting him against going on trial with the setting up of the War Crimes Code. Speaking at Senator Johnson's funeral in Nimba County on Saturday, Senator Nimle said, unlike former presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah, who did not see the compelling need for the War Crimes Code in Liberia during their reign, the rescue government he sought rescue from to prevent the code from being set up in Liberia to have him tried, tempted, and tormented him with it. Senator Yaya Nimle said Senator Prince Johnson cleverly bought time with the former presidents and the current Joseph Newman by promising to make them president or win a second term if they protected him against the War Crimes Code, a promise he fulfilled for CDC and the UP Honor Ellen, but he was betrayed by the current Unity Party government.
So every time a presidential candidate came and he would go and say, I will make you president, but I want you to buy me time. He did that with President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and President Sirleaf at the time that there were 15,000 UN soldiers in this country, that she had the opportunity to execute war crime. And she said to him, when you make me president, I will buy you time. And he went from village to village to campaign for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to be president because he wanted time. President Johnson became president and she bought him time for 12 years. People went to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and they said, why aren't you bringing war crime code? He said, look at the country. Nobody is talking about war crime. People are worried about the next daily bread. They worry about their children going to school. They worry about hospitals. So Prince Johnson bought time for 12 years. And when Ellen Johnson left power, President Weah came and his program, Propo, and he went and said, if that is Propo, then I think that's the man I can talk to. I need to buy some time. He went to President Weah and said, I'll make you president. I want to buy time to serve my people. And President Weah said, when you make me president, I will buy you time. He got out into Nimba County in Liberia. He campaigned, and President Weah became president. And when the citizens asked President Weah said, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came here and spent 12 years and did not bring war crime code. I am not bringing war crime code. Senator Johnson enjoyed 6 years building schools and relating to his people. When President Weah time ended, he heard about rescue mission. He said, Weah, I'm not going to support you. I'm going to go to rescue because I want to be rescued. He went to rescue and did more than what he did for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Weah. He produced a vice president and produced a president simultaneously. And he was promised time. But when the time came, the time that was promised him was never given.
Senator Yaya Nimle speaking. President Joseph Newman Boakai has praised the unique history and legacy of the late Senator Prince Johnson at his funeral in Limba County on Saturday, January 18. Senator Johnson's funeral was attended by scores of Liberian government officials, former President George Weah, international partners, friends, and families. President Boakai said the late senator was a man of many complexities whose life was shaped by the intricacies of his history as a former warlord, senator, and preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Senator Prince Wild Johnson was a man of many complexities, someone whose life was shaped by the intricacies of his history. His role in Liberia's political evolution was nothing short of impactful, and he will forever be etched in the annals of our national story. His presence in political arena was both commanding and formidable. Senator Johnson had an extraordinary ability to rally people. His political acumen and a capacity to connect with the masses earned him admiration from his supporters and respect from even his critics. It was this very strength, his remarkable ability to influence and lead, that allowed him not only to Nimba County, but across Liberia. His leadership transcended regional lines, and he became a key figure in shaping our democratic practice. Senator Johnson's past is intertwined with some of the painful chapters of our country's history. As someone who ultimately embraced the path of peace, and it is important to acknowledge that in his later years, Senator Johnson worked diligently to promote healing in our nation. He often described himself as a man of peace, someone who had witnessed the consequences of division and sought to bridge those gaps through reconciliation. One of his significant contributions to the nation before his passing was his public support for the establishment of the War Crimes Court of Liberia, which he endorsed as a senator by approving the legislature joint resolution.
Liberian President Joseph Newman Boakai. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back for continuation of the program. Thanks for joining us. And if you just joining us, a reminder listening to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Service will follow this afternoon. The funeral and burial of Liberian warlord turned Senator Prince Johnson took place at the weekend in his home county of Nimba, attended by scores of government officials, former President George Weah, President Joseph Newman Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn, international partners, friends, and relatives. Associate Justice Yemi Gbese is set to hear a writ of prohibition filed by state prosecutors on seeking to overturn a ruling by Judge Cobalt Nuttall of Criminal Court on Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak suspect Thomas Idrish to seek medical attention. Senator Yahya Nimle has attributed the death of Senator Prince Johnson to United Party, saying just as former Presidents Ellen Johnson, Sirleaf, and George Weah protected him against certain of the war crimes quote in Liberia, UP did not. Away from Liberia, at least 7 people have been killed in a clash with soldiers on duty at a mine in the central Ghanaian Ashanti region. On this one now, workers of the National Elections Commission have thanked President Joseph Newman Boakai for suspending indefinitely the chairperson of the commission, Deviata Brown Lassana. She is suspended for what the president described as disruptive behavior to trust and stability, as well as taking unilateral decisions, which led to a series of protests at the commission and created a toxic working condition.
Staff of the National Elections Commission have come with profound thanks to the President, His Excellency Joseph Yuma Boakai, for the bold and decisive step taken for the indefinite suspension of the chairperson, Madam Deviata Brown Lassana. The President acted within the scope of his legal authority as provided by law, because the law provides for the removal of the next chairperson for a cause. In the instant case, Madam Chairperson has provided adequate reasons for her own removal, but the President, being as generous as he is, rewarded her with an indefinite suspension in order to restore calm and stability to the Commission. This news has brought relief to the entire workforce, especially the 25 dismissed employees. There are concerns out there, however, in the public regarding the justification of the chairperson's suspension that we believe we need to address. Over the period of 5 years, the workforce has experienced nothing but an authoritarian rule at the hands of Chairperson Lassana, characterized by wanton corruption for which she was indicted by the LEC. Staff are treated with no respect, to the point where when opinions are expressed in meetings, it is treated as an affront and subjected to internal investigation and eventually leads to dismissal. At the level of the board, the chairperson has taken a dominant posture, so much so that plenary sessions have been reduced into chat room discussions. In most instances, travels intended for staff of the commission are single-handedly made by the chairperson, as this was done in time past with other. Upon her return, there is hardly any report made. Staff of the commission have been transferred to different sections without the knowledge and approval of the rest of the commissioners, as the law depicts.
Aggrieved workers at the National Elections Commission. They also said Madam Deviata Brown Lassana was greedy enough to have put herself on all the committees of the National Elections Commission as head, taking control onto herself everything expenditure and procurement of the commission.
This chairperson was head of the budget committee. This is in the 2023 general elections. She was head of the budget committee, cash committee, procurement committee. She single-handedly headed everything that had to do with cash, procurement, and the rest. Yeah. To an extent where she concocted arrangements to remove monies from the commission's account with no delivery of election materials. Yes. Through unique solution, a firm with no history of delivering election materials, owned and operated by a businessman called Daniel Koluba. We know for a fact that this same Koluba has provided a non-functional solar system to the commission that is worth over 200,000 United States dollars. The same Koluba, as a kickback for his full deal, provided a complete set of solar system to the homes and businesses of both the chairperson and the executive director, Mr. Anthony K. Other commissioners were appointed to hear by elections, but the budget and cash was controlled by the chairperson and the executive. She sidelined directors that she did not like and dealt with their deputies, completely disrespecting their offices, and an instance leading to frustration of heads of sections. The chairperson, just in this week, unilaterally merged several sections, thereby dismantling the entire organogram of the commission.
Aggrieved workers at the National Elections Commission. The mother of a 21-year-old man who was reportedly killed by health practitioners at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital is demanding justice into the circumstances surrounding her son's death. 21-year-old Benitez Williams was pronounced dead recently by health workers at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital in Congotown following a surgical operation. However, the hospital's authority, through a representative who visited the deceased mother, distanced the health facility from all allegations linking them to the victim's death.
Stroke, that means before they have the root, before the diagnose, they have a stroke. If they stroke reverse, how they stop our flow also in the atmosphere. We got never touch the patient because the patient was sitting over to him to say intent awareness. When the anesthesia will introduce, the patient will active from the anesthesia. So we can see push by the fastest. But we admit that anesthesia will be against and he will active from the anesthesia. And they go after. We are deeply sorry that it happened, and our intent was good. The reason why our intent was good because there were other hospitals, there were other healthcare facilities that the family or the mother were able, she could have gone to, but she chose us above all, and we ourselves too. We will never be satisfied.
A representative at the St. Joseph Catholic Hospital who visited the deceased mother, Veronica Thier. A marketer who sells at the Waterside Market identified as Winnie Woods has accused a man identified as Usman Diallo of plotting to relocate her table at the Waterside Market. Woods noted that she has constantly been intimidated by Diallo on several occasions to leave from where she currently sells on grounds that her business is preventing customers from entering his store. After a pre-trial conference held between the two parties some months back by the West Point Magisterial Court, the court has issued an inventory order to remove Winnie Woods if she sells in front of Diallo's store. She is therefore calling on the government of Liberia through the Liberian Marketing Association to intervene as she has nowhere to go other than where she sells.
Yeah, let's see what I see here. My mama tell me from the town was small. I want to tell you I will go to school. I feel I'm not going to school. So let mama, I'm mama get eyes for me. So she stopped selling my husband that she said my husband the tell. Why also you know the tell? I know what kind of problem between the Fulani, all the people they know because the people be complaining about the Fulani. I said, Mama, again, the Fulani say, I'm not saying the tell. He said, "He said, who gave me the tell? Who gave me the tell?" He said, "I'm not saying." He went to the court, came into the court. The court, the husband court, they just saw the fact that the Fulani were fetching my tell. And I want the Fulani way. So he said he gets suggestion now. You know, I will make peace make a Fulani while they stop me. So I said, but I will stop me for myself. I can't see as they said, and I agree. I'm an uncle. I am a people, people can say I was sick because I don't want them to way. They say you can't agree. They're going to talk on you for over 3 hours. They learn how you waiting for the learn. I talk on you. Say, get to it. He said, get to it. And I said, 3 days. And I said, they deprive me 3 days. And I said, my children will go to school for the possible for the court. You can't go all my market down. The market where you see us, I said, the market for first day. Put it down. The market here because the first one at here. They don't put it down.
Winnie Woods, a marketer who sells at the Waterside Market. For his part, Usman Diallo emphasized that Winnie is always in the constant habit of putting her clothes in front of his store, thereby stopping his customer entrance. He further noted that Winnie has boasted of knowing top government officials, describing him as a foreigner, which has led to her unruly behavior.
This case we started almost 6 months ago. This lady was on this table here. They brought her here because I was traveling. I was not here. They brought her here. So we came. So she started parking. She's selling DK. So she was parking in front of our store. When we told her, we said, if you're parking here, park it on your table. Don't park it in front of our store. Because if you park it in front of our store, you block our customer. Okay. The first day, she said, okay, no problem. But the second day, the third day, she started refusing. She refused. So she started parking her clothes in front of our entrance. So when we call the police, we ask the police, you tell the woman, let she pack the clothes on the table when she pay for. No our interest, because we do paying taxes here. She refuses, she can't listen to the police. So now at the table, I think they can put iron and hand clothes. So she pack on the table, then she pack in for our interest. So we say, the way you doing it, you black our customer, because we here, we paying taxes. We got reserve here. But right back on your table, see, we call the first police talk to her, say she can't agree, she can't listen to it. We involve the LMA Kim several times, 4 times. Avaso, be to yourself. Stop coming, intruding the people place. She refused. So the last time, Jerry went right in front of our store. Element told her that, Element told the lady that, you know you're wrong. If the people take any action, he will be held responsible. So as soon Element left, she came, she said she started making out. She knows senator, she knows PP people, we foreigner here, we flat people will not get no right here. Now the argument she brought up, we said okay, but then saying you say like that, you'll resort to the court.
He's Usman Diallo, who operates a store at the Waterside Market. Well, on that notice, I would like to go home on this edition of King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The funeral and burial of Liberian warlord turned Senator Prince Johnson took place at the weekend in his home county of Nimba, attended by scores of government officials, former President George Weah, President Joseph Newman Boakai, Vice President Jeremiah Kun, international partners, friends, and relatives. Associate Justice Yemi Gbese is here to hear a writ of prohibition filed by state prosecutors on seeking to overturn a ruling by Judge Colbert Nutter of Criminal Court on Capitol Building December 18 fire outbreak suspect Thomas E. Rich to seek medical attention. Senator Yaya Nimle has attributed the death of Senator Prince Johnson to unite the party, saying just as former presidents Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and George Weah protected him against the setting up of war crimes court in Liberia, UP did not. At least 7 people have been killed in a clash with soldiers on duty at the mine in the central Ghanaian Ashanti region. Sam Andrews brought us the news bulletin. But just before we go home, I'd like to say many thanks to all of our reporters and correspondents who helped in making this package. Our sources, Cornelius Johnson, sat at controls and coordinated the sound. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Newton Tukwa. I presented this edition of the program Newsroom. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye.